Alright, test 1, 2, 3. Hello, NASA.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
How's the weather?
Okay, it sounds like everything's getting picked up fine. So, whenever you want to start, you can just count us down and we can go.
Alright. Oh my god. Alright, I think we're gonna go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Hi, I'm Gymfreak. I haven't played this game in 5 weeks. This run's gonna be awful.
Well, I am Simple, and I'm gonna be helping Gymfreak here with some commentary, explaining game mechanics and whatnot. So this is Mega Man 6 Advent. This is the second game in the 6 series, and Gymfreak will be running the any percent beginner gray category. So what the gray part of the category means is on 6 Advent you can follow the story of two different protagonists, Gray or Ash, and your gameplay varies a little bit depending on your choice, but nothing too conducive to the speedrun. Most notably, they both have a different intro stage, and Gray's introduction is a bit longer than Ash, because it serves as a tutorial teaching you the ropes of your typical Mega Man game, you know, how to shoot, jump or crawl, all the complex video game stuff. Right now, Gray can only walk and use a basic gun, but it will make do for now. So the first boss is coming up. It's a giant mech called the Little Gigant, if I'm not mistaken. This one is about as straightforward as a station. What you have to do is jump on the hands of the mech, which serves as a platform, and they let you reach a height tall enough to hit its eyes. And with some decent mashing, the Gymfreak can just melt it through the health of the boss very, very quickly. So that's a common occurrence for this game. A very quick intro there. So the other caveat to the category Gymfreak is running is that we're doing the beginner difficulty, which is part of the reason the intro boss got destroyed as fast as he did. There are 3 difficulty settings in this game. We got beginner, which is the easiest and fastest there is. The grind progression remains identical despite the difficulty setting, but what changes are a lot of the game's damage modifiers. In short, you murder enemies a lot faster, and this is crucial for boss killing, because bosses need less attacks to die. This mitigates a lot of the RNG you have to deal with. And by golly, this game has terrible RNG.
Yeah, you'll also notice that sometimes the screen is just randomly going to black. Like, actually just me skipping a whole bunch of cutscenes. It happens like every 5 seconds.
Yeah, the cutscene skip feature is very handy. Right now there were some shenanigans where Gray got his first transformation called Model A, and the game finally picks up some pace and starts playing a lot more like a Mega Man game. Gray got some dash upgrades and he can charge his gun for a much stronger attack. So now the game really starts kicking off. Alright, and we got Buckfire over here, the first real boss of the game. He likes jumping around and wastes time, but it's just we just have to do with that. Unlike other Mega Man games, RNG manipulation is not exactly feasible in CX Advent, so there is a lot of intuition involved in boss strategies, just reacting to what I do and handling the situation as it comes. And okay, here we go, the small cutscene just teaching the player about the transformation mechanics. And this here is the big gimmick of CX Advent. Model A can copy the data of bosses and transfer into them at any moment, so that really is what makes the game. We cannot be mindlessly drawn to transforming to fully optimized sections, however, because it's better to minimize the transformation sequences as much as possible. For the most part, the Model A, or current model, has some very consistent moving options, so it works great on its own for now.
Haha, works great.
You know, We got a little bit of downtime here. Gymfreak is just getting towards our next destination, and this is something that happens fairly often between stages. The Mega Man CX games differentiate from the other games in the Mega Man franchise because their level design allude to the Metroidvania style games. You got a main hub and are placed on this big overworld, so the game puts a lot of emphasis on exploring your surroundings and often lets you complete different missions before pulling some big events.
That room went really poorly, I'll be honest.
Gotta handle the rest. Oh yeah, this area is a vertical segment, and Gymfreak is doing a really cool strat where he transforms into Buckfire, the boss we killed earlier, and uses his jumping skill to quickly climb the tower. This is a lot faster than doing this section as intended with melee, but the drawback to this strat is that it's a huge portion of our weapon energy, and it would be preferable for Gymfreak to start the next mini-boss with a full weapon energy bar. Model A can actually unleash a powerful attack called Giga Crush by sacrificing a complete bar of weapon energy, and this attack is strong enough to chop a health bar from a boss. You can tell Gymfreak is activating Giga Crush when a giant purple cube turns around gray, and it's also really neat because you can buffer it before entering a room, so it makes for a great opening attack. You can initiate it as on the fewest frame possible as soon as the boss starts.
So I'm going to be doing a damage boost after the upcoming boss here, and so I really don't want to get hit any more than I have already, or else I won't be able to do the damage boost. Like actually, I think I'll still be able to do it with this health. I just need to not get hit during the boss.
Yeah, it wouldn't be terrible to lose the health, but it will constitute a time save. Okay, here is our boy Rasparke. Gymfreak is going to open the battle with a Giga Crush and do some combos to finish what's left of the boss's health. Like most Mega Man games, you can execute attacks in a specific order to skip a boss's invulnerability frames, which we call a combo. Model 8 combo, it's homing attack, like the purple scope you see sometimes, into a charge attack, and this lets you deal damage more efficiently.
Yeah, I played it a little bit safe there, just to not get hit. I don't know what it is, I don't know why I like doing this damage boost. It only saves like a few seconds, but I really get mad when I miss it.
On this mode, the spikes don't insta-kill you, so you can use damage boost over them instead of taking an otherwise slower route. But now that we're done with the area, we can just teleport to a checkpoint Gymfreak activated earlier. If you've been paying attention, Gymfreak temporarily entered an ice area and exited before leaving to Rasparke's station. That was to activate a checkpoint. And
oh, I actually changed the route a little bit. I didn't go there. I think this is about... I actually don't know which one's faster, I'll be honest. Sometimes I go and activate to the ice area, sometimes I don't. I'm pretty sure they're the same speed, it's just what you prefer. On, the reason people like to go to the ice stage first and activate the teleporter is because it's definitely faster on normal and expert. And if you're used to those categories, it's just gonna be easier to transition. Oh wow, this is actually going really bad. Okay, there we go. I probably should have practiced.
We got Buckfire taking the spotlight once again. When you enter water in this game, it helps your movement speed, but Buckfire is one of the very few models who ignore water physics entirely, so this enables Buckfire to move a lot quicker while underwater. Furthermore, Buckfire can also break the ice blocks plugged in this area with his fire arrows, so he is required for progress anyway. His movement perks are just handy to have. Buckfire is also amazing at killing this mini-boss. Most mini-bosses in this game don't trigger iframes, so anything that can spam projectiles work great against them. And Buckfire, whenever he uses his regular attack, he releases 3 projectiles at a time, so that works great for mini-bosses. At least until we get better models.
Honestly, we got some of the most useful models, like right at the start of the run, which is Model A and Buckfire, which we'll be using throughout the run.
Yeah, as we go along through the game, we'll get more bosses and furthermore transformations, but in order to compensate the mass of transformations you have in this game, most of them have a really niche movement options, so the game more or less designs sections specific for your models instead of designing the entire game to work for every single model. So the models that are most helpful are the ones that work on most movement instances. On this section, you have to decommission some generators to open a locked door at the end of the area. You can see Bugfire's skill set in full effect for one last time. It won't be very useful past this point, but you will see him a few more times.
Okay, now I'm gonna be attempting a quick kill right here. So, pretty much when Chrono Force, the next boss coming up, goes below half health, it does this really long attack. And it takes like a good 15 seconds. But if I get it from over half health to dead before I can use its next attack, I will skip that attack entirely. Oh, I screwed it up already. Well, I accidentally did a charging shot when I wasn't supposed to. So yeah, we're gonna get to see it
whenever
now.
Chronoforce reaches half health, he just overrides his screen to stop whatever he's doing and initiates his attack where he goes behind the screen and shoots his icicles, which loses a fair amount of time. It's also worth noting that Chronoforce, the upper half of his body is protected by a shell, and this protects him from any damage. So you have to shoot him very precisely, which adds more pressure to the quick kill. It's a very tricky battle.
So yeah, this run's going terribly right now, I'll be honest. I usually play a lot better than this.
Well, we got Destiny for a reason, it's alright. Alright, we got the gates here. This is the game's way of making sure you've completed what you are supposed to before then you progress.
Oh, I actually think I missed that.
Yeah, we got some keys and we must deactivate them by hitting them with their elemental weaknesses. So, regarding elemental affinities, they work exactly the same as in the Mega Man Zero series, so if you're familiar with that, you'll know what's up with this. There's 3 elements in this game: fire, ice, and thunder. And just think of it as a game of rock, paper, scissors. Fire beats ice beats thunder, and thunder beats fire. And sometimes these elements can destroy obstacles on the field, but in this instance they are used to lock you, so you gotta hit the game tries to teach you these elemental affinities by forcing you to use the models that have the weakness of the gates and hit them
One problem
respectively.
with using elemental weaknesses is that when you use it on a boss, for example, its iframes are actually longer than usual. So sometimes we actually want to avoid using the elemental weakness.
They are not very useful in this game regularly, but they got nerfed pretty hard compared to the first Series game. Elemental weaknesses are a lot more useful in normal mode because you can stun bosses, so bosses that just fly around off screen wasting time with their cycles, you'd rather stun them with their weakness and start comboing them that way. Speaking of CX, this boss might look familiar to you if you played the first 6 game. As usual, we're opening with a Giga Crush and then spam as many projectiles as possible to kill the snake. There are 2 ways to handle the snake. I think if it stays like a bit further on the screen, it's difficult to hit it with Bugfire, so you are transforming to Rospark and just spam projectiles with him, because Rospark can shoot it vertically, so you can just go below the snake and kill him that way.
Yeah, unfortunately the snake went down, so I couldn't use Ray Spark to get under it.
Yeah. Oh, and Gymfreak is also doing a bit of an overlook. Let's call it. You're not supposed to get to that upper section with Bugfire what you're supposed to do is enter a room with these generators and then reactivate them with some electric skill, and then you can go through the locked rooms and open them and whatnot. Because generators also reactivate the elevator, but you can just skip. You can save a little bit of time by using Buckfire and getting up there without needing to use the elevator. Alright, and here is Atlas, the fierce biometal user of the game. Models are basically as strong as the model we've been using and have the same dash and movement options, but that boss is a little tricky because there is different setups to how you can handle the boss. You obviously always start the battle with a Giga Crush, but you can move a little bit to RNG manipulate the boss. Something we've overlooked is that you can RNG manipulate in this game. The thing about skipping cutscenes is that past the fade-out transition, regardless of when you start to skip the cutscene, when the cutscene gets skipped, it gets set on a specific seed, and that makes it useful for manipulating bosses, at least for a handful of seconds. So that way you can start the battle very consistently, but past that point you just have to deal with what the boss throws at you, because it's difficult to manipulate it past the first frames of the battle. You need a task precision to accomplish something like that.
This is the most boring part of the game. I actually really hate this section. This is just a transition area before we go to the next area, which is Legion. We get to wait on elevators. It's so much fun.
The music is solid there.
True. This seems like a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, there's also a remastered version of the soundtrack. You can find it called CX tunes, and they redid the entire soundtrack. Made it sound more electronic and whatnot, but it's still pretty nice. Like the developers put a lot of effort into marketing for the game, so you always see promotional artwork that like these awesome things that randomly pop up here and there. Oh, this will be a good time to mention the wall clipping. You might have noticed that Gymfreak releases his scope when wall climbing. Like in Mega Man X, you can wall climb, and this activates a jumping animation when you start launching from the wall. But if you start attacking while wall climbing, for example, the attacking animation takes priority over the launching that a wall climb is supposed to have. So you can just, if you hold the scope, that is essentially attacking, and you can just stick to the wall and jump rapidly that way. We got Shernak here. He's a bit of an RNG pain to deal with, because he teleports all over the screen.
That was actually pretty good, I'll be honest. Sometimes you can just jump around all over. Sometimes you can teleport away right as you're shooting him. He was pretty nice today.
Once again, we have absorbed another model. This is Model P. By the way, all these models are based off of legendary characters from previous Mega Man games. At least that's how the game calls them. So, Model P, for example, is based off of Phantom from Mega Man
whoops,
Zero.
I missed badly.
Like
Wow.
Yeah, you threw the shuriken a little low there.
Yeah, I kinda wasn't paying attention for a second.
Oh well, here we go with the second half of the stage. You're supposed to use navigate all these buildings. There is a bunch of hoverboards you can use, but once you are past this section of the stage that has a lot of bonus speeds, you can just ignore the hoverboards and just dash through the segment. You only use the hoverboards when it's absolutely necessary to overcome a bonus speed. Okay, the game opens up on the direction you can take. There is 4 stages you can visit, but we want to prioritize the stage that will give us a transformation that will help us save time on the other ones. So that's why we are selecting this first.
Yeah, other than doing floating ruins first, it really doesn't matter what order you go in these 4 stages. The reason I was being a bit careful there is because there's enemy that can prevent me from jumping for a good like 5 seconds, and I was kind of avoiding it.
Yeah, he just aggroes whenever you get into his sight, into his visible range, and just shoots you immediately. You cannot even dodge the projectile. And this stage is pretty cool looking because there is a lot of cycle management. There is wind pushing you, and you have to know when it's a good time to start moving, and then quickly do the segment before wind changes direction. That said, there's also a lot of bonus speeds, so if you are careless, you can just as easily fall and die.
Oh yeah, it's really easy to just like waste 10-20 seconds on this stage just from falling.
There is a surprising amount of insta-death in this game. Thankfully it's not as bad in beginner mode, because instead of dying you just get hit, although...
It can sometimes be worse, and then you get stuck at the bottom. I've had that happen before. It's interesting. Oh, that was a little bit of different RNG than I'm used to. He normally doesn't use tornadoes right at the end there. Not sure why he did that time.
Yeah. This LBK pretty nicely. Oh, by the way, Giga Crush is only useful on beginner mode, because again the damage modifiers make the attack a lot stronger than in other difficulties. So the Giga Crush is completely worthless in normal mode, for example, because it consumes your entire weapon energy bar, and it only is like a quarter of health bar. And on normal mode, your weapon energy doesn't regenerate nearly as quickly as in beginner mode, so you cannot really justify the consumption of energy with Giga Crush. But it's still pretty cool to see it being useful on a difficulty. Alright, and this section might look familiar to you if you play the CX as well. Here we got a boss coming back from that game to the helicopter. There's a bit of RNG. You battle him on 3 different locations, and the helicopter can choose to move to any to the left, the center, or the middle of each of these screen locks. And we prefer it for him to be to the right, so Gray doesn't have to walk as much in between the screens. But there's not a whole lot we can do about that.
Oh, whoops. I forgot to transform. This is awkward. Oh, well. Oh, man. Wow, that was... So I was supposed to transform before that mini-boss and then use a Model P charging shot to take out most of his health. I kind of forgot. So that fight went terribly, but I still lived. So that's something. So this is Thetis. Thetis loves to swim around. And just... It's a pretty easy boss. His attacks are super predictable. There you go. So, next level we're going to is Scrapyard. Scrapyard is definitely my favorite level. It has, two really cool skips. A bit into the level, so you'll be seeing those using Model H.
Oh yeah, Scrapyard is not worthy because it has a lot, like, given the layout of the stage, you can use a lot of your models. For example, you're forced to use Model P because there is a bunch of puzzles involving levers, and Model P is the only one that can launch out onto them. So there is a lot of management involved with the correct time at which you should be switching your transformations. And there's also a lot of cool tech involving Model H, which we got from the Wind stage. Model H is our first real means of aerial movement. You can dash on the air with Model H. So we can quickly navigate through obstacles.
Also, these two skips are not easy. I'm usually pretty good at them, but since I haven't practiced, I will probably fail at least one of them.
Yeah, the timing here is really tiny. Because the levers are actually shared between screens, so once you activate a lever, they actually start running on a sort of global cycle. So you gotta reach the level before it closes too much for Model H to be standing onto it, so that will force you to turn back into Model P to lower the lever once again. That went pretty smoothly, that's pretty good.
Whoops.
Oh, and here's also another quirk that only Gray can execute. Besides the intro stage differences and other minor character quirks, the biometal models that both Ash and Gray get have a slightly different skills depend between them. For example, Gray is Model H tornadoes. He launches a couple tornadoes, and they also travel diagonally. So, because they also face through walls, it's possible to execute a skip in this area. Because there's a bunch of levers, and you have to move the blocks. So you are able to move through the stage. So there is a really complex puzzle here, where you gotta navigate, hit a lever, then travel to another area, hit another level, keep traveling. But thanks to this, the diagonal movement of Gray's tornadoes, you can hit them before you are intended to, and skip a huge chunk of the stage that way. And here is our boy Voltron, by far the best boss to ever grace Mega Man game. He battles with the power of rock.
To ever grace this game.
You get us slammed. Regularly, Voltron is not very useful. He has awful momentum. He only skids through terrain. He cannot even move quickly. He just does small hops. So you're only going to see Voltron on the puzzles that involve that involve him. Alright, one more stage to do for this section of the game. And if you are a CX fan, this area will be very familiar to you. This area is actually remodeled. Is the final stage of the first CX game, but remodeled after it exploded or whatever.
Alright, here we go.
So it's not in great shape. Gymfreak is going to execute an insane strat.
Oh god.
There's a much easier way to handle this section. You can just transform into Rust Park and latch onto the ropes of the elevator you see at the center there, and just press up and easily climb through this section. But the skillful way of doing this is turning into Model H, who has a much faster vertical movement and do a series of really complex air dashes and quickly climb it through and get through this vertical section as quickly as possible. This is marginally faster, it only takes like 5 seconds, but it's incredibly more difficult to do due to this difference in the complexity of the inputs you have to do between the strats.
I tried to go like very slightly faster by not waiting for the first 2 fire shooters, but it did not work out for me and I got hit both times.
Oh well, this boss doesn't like oranges.
I actually just...
Regarding mini bosses, from now on, we will usually use Model F to kill them, because you can mash with both your sub-weapon and main weapon buttons, so it usually melts through bosses. It's either that or Model P, because Model P mashes really well. Here's another vertical segment. It's with Bugfire instead, because he has a really awkward jumping arc after wall jumping. He just manages to correctly line up with the walls, and he can climb this area really quickly. That's a lot more complex than it looks, because the timing can get
that looked really easy, but the timing actually quite difficult, and new runners will definitely fall.
Yeah, you have to change your timing with each jump, and it gets more difficult from there.
So I suppose you just...
So...
Sorry, go ahead.
Alright, we got Queen Bee. Hope you enjoyed the voice acting. The quick thing about Queen Bee is that her hitbox is a little complex to hit. Gymfreak is changing the Buster edit of Model F. Model F can actually change the trajectory of its oranges in order to get a configuration that's more comfortable for you. But once we initiate the Acrosh, you gotta break the beehive on Queen Bee just to have her float in range, and then just finish what's left of her health bar. That medal that you saw at the end of battle, there's actually a medal system in this game. It's just some random achievements you can get by killing bosses in a really specific way. I have no idea what that medal stands for, but it happens, you can really avoid it. Given the strat used to kill Queen Bee. But regardless of how you do the 4 stages, those 4 stages, you always have to come back to this spot, and the game hardwalls you with another transformation puzzle. Queen Bee is the only one who can raise the initial container, then you need to use Model L to hit a gate. Current Force just cannot leave water, so only Model L can accomplish that. And so on and so forth. The game is just checking that you do have all the models you need before the engine progress. Alright, and we got the Quadrille. this series is pretty interesting because it's one of the few times where Model P is useful. Model P has increased vision on these dark areas, like your scope is a lot shorter with other models, so it's easier to see with Model P. There's also another quirk with the bottom screen. If you guys cannot tell, this is actually a Nintendo DS game, so there's a bottom screen at all times, but it's generally useless except for a handful of spots. On that section, Model P actually reveals the area, like makes a minimap of it, so it's useful to see where you're going beyond the darkness. And this here is actually the hero of the first CX game, Ale. And she can be a pain sometimes. Past Giga Crush, like she just moves all over the place and it's difficult to connect a combo. So that's RNG you gotta tough out regularly. That said, for that battle we win in Model CX, and Model CX is useful, let's just put it that way.
Model EX is very broken, as you will see pretty soon.
Model CX has two modalities of combat. It can use a sword and it can charge a buster, much like Model A. But you can actually combine these to execute very complex combos. And we got a mini boss coming up, and this guy will be the first victim to Model CX. So you can execute a combo with CX in various ways, but generally you want to roll and slash, and roll and slash is ridiculously broken on easy mode because when you are using roll and slash, if you are inside an enemy's hitbox, the roll and slash will hit the enemy for each frame your attack is active. So that's one frame, one hit of damage per frame. Now in easy mode, the damage of the roll and slash is increased to 4 hits per frame, I believe. So that just melts through bosses. Everything dies to roll and slash in a handful of seconds. So you will see Model CX destroy everything from here on out. That said, we had to destroy the mini-boss because it actually has a very complex series of hitboxes. Like, you're not supposed to kill it, so the developers made it really difficult to do that. But once you do, you can just navigate to the stage and finish it. Let's just say Gymfreak kill this guy over here.
Just an FYI to donators, there's about 20 minutes left in this run, so the Zelda incentives are going to be cut off very soon.
Make sure to get those Zelda randomizers incentives. Just donate for where you'd like to see. But yeah, you have to kill that mini-boss because it just follows you through the stage, and it's supposed to die on the spikes just over the very end of the area, and it has a really lengthy explosion sequence that it's just a drag. We'd rather kill the boss just to not see the explosion, if at all. This is the last fork we got in the game. We got 3 more stages to do. And this stage is pretty unique because you get the boss thrown at you immediately. It's just a joke with Model CX.
Welcome to Model EX, everybody.
Again, that's 4 hits of damage per frame. It's absolutely insane. So that boss was Orgoyle and Ugoyle. The boss is split, like they share a common health bar, but they actually have like 1 health bar and a half, but they are just displayed together on the health bar just to not complicate matters. But if you kill one, then the other goes berserk, and it's just irrelevant because they die so quickly in beginner mode. On higher difficulties you get to see more of the bosses. And while it's annoying to deal with, at least they get a chance to fight back before dying.
So in this stage you can, oh my gosh, jump, sorry. You can use 2 strategies. You can either use Model H or Model L. Model L is like way easier. as you can tell, I'm like totally failing with Model H. But Model H is slightly faster if you don't suck.
Oh yeah, that rescue is only available on beginner mode. You get one of those per screen, I think. So whenever you fall on a ball on speed, then Model A will try to drag you into safety, but it wears out after a few seconds. So it's a useful safety net for these sections.
So we're coming up on the most RNG heavy section of the run, which is this mini boss. It has 3 attacks. It will use them at random, and one of the attacks I cannot hit the boss if it uses it. So let's see if I get good RNG. So if it sends those leaves out, I just can't hit the boss at all.
Shucks, that's unfortunate. The easy mode strat for this boss, like not the actual difficulty setting, but like the easy way of handling it is transforming into Chronoforce and then slowing down time if your machine is really that bad.
Yeah, a lot of times
Because
a lot of times using Chronoforce's time slow is really useful if you're not a good masher.
yeah, Chronoforce is the hermit crab guy we did at the very start of the game, by the way. Chronoforce can actually move outside of water, but he just sits on the floor. It's a little depressing actually, but you can charge his attack and then he will use time stop, and that slows down the fallen your surroundings, including bosses, including enemies. Everything slows down, so it makes it easier to see what's coming. That said, it's not useful because you have to transfer into Chronoforce, then you have to wait for his skill to charge, then you have to wait for the cutscene, for the time stop cutscene to happen, and it's still it's not useful at all for a speedrun. Higher difficulty settings, where bosses are a lot more difficult to hit, like Quimby for example, Chronoforce is very useful, because then you can manage to make Quimby stay on screen long enough for you to kill her. But there's no need for that in this category.
Whoops. That's okay.
Yeah, we got a battery puzzle or some kind. You can either shoot the containers into the generators, or you can use pushing skill. Voltron can push these things with his guitar. The Model F can also hit those as Gymfreak opted to do. You can also use Argol and Ugoil. Ugoil can kick the batteries. So either of these three is a good option for the battle.
Yeah, the reason I use Model F is just because it has good movement options, plus you can already shoot the batteries, making it very efficient.
And poor Headshot didn't stand a chance. This is one of the very few models we choose to Giga Crush now that we have Model CX available, because it has a really short hitbox. You cannot hit it very efficiently with a rolling slash, so at least we can Giga Crush to chop off half her health, and then the rolling slash do its thing afterwards.
I'll be honest, like 95% of headshot kills do not go that well. That was particularly good.
Hitbox is just hilariously small. It's very hard to keep her. Anyway, we had to kill Argol and Ugoil and Headshot before entering the last stage, because we got a couple of plot triggers. So Bifrost is ostensibly the last stage you have to do. Otherwise, you have to leave Bifrost's stage, then go to another stage, then come back to Bifrost once you get your plot trigger. But Bifrost is also a pretty cool stage because you get to see like your full repertoire of transformations working in on Ison more or less. Because there is a lot of puzzles, a lot underwater sections, so we just transform all over the place to get through there quickly.
Yeah, the next about, like, minute, we're gonna transform, like, 4 times. Ooh, is that high enough, actually? I'm not sure. Oh, barely.
So here you get to see Model L for first time, like pretty much the last. Model A, much like Fire, doesn't mind water physics, and Model A is actually the water that works best on underwater sections because you can hover and swim on water. Model L actually got buffed in this game. On CX it only dealt with 3 damage per attack, but on this game it did 4, so it's a lot stronger. Alrighty, and the final boss of the game. He's huge, he looks like he has good movement options.
Come on. There we go.
So fun to see the Hellbar drop. Like that. Yeah, that guy is called Bifrost regularly. There is not much to salvage him. The only time you'll see Bifrost is on these blocks. He is required to break them, but besides that, there is not much use you can give him.
If there's any one level I've practiced the most in this game, it's Undersea Volcano. It is very execution heavy. If you screw up slightly, it can end up wasting a lot of time. Okay, we'll see how it goes.
So once again we have an underwater section. There are 3 optimal models we could use for this, which are either T's, Model L, Fire, or Chronoforce, but T's, because it has the same dash speed as Model A, is used the best model. Chronoforce makes it a little much easier, because like in the boss battle, if you hit the upper half of Chronoforce's body, because it's protected by a shell, nothing can damage it. And there are a lot of you can see in the background volcanoes erupting, and they're actually launching some rocks towards us. So Chronoforce doesn't care about those. It would be the easiest way to get through this section. Yeah, Gymfreak just taking it a little slow here, just making sure he doesn't get more damage than he needs to. The section is really complicated.
Okay. Ooh, this is not good HP. Well, let's see how this goes. Oh, I can just grab.
Just like the underworld section, the recommended way of doing this is with Rust Park. You can see the holes in the background, so he can and navigate this area very easily, but falling speed is ideal. That said, you do have to memorize exactly how the vertical section is laid out to make sure you don't fall into spikes too often. These guys, this is actually 2 bosses in one. They both share a health bar, their health bar. They're called Prometheus and Pandora. Well, there they go.
Easy.
They are big billions, especially for the first CX game. Like, they were a turn on your side the whole time, so it's nice to see them come back just to get destroyed by CX once again. Alright, and now we're embarking into the final section of the game, Euroboros. Story-wise, there is this shenanigan with some guy trying to manipulate a lot of models. As you can see, the models laid in the background. And he wants to destroy the world, you know, use your Mega Man block. You just have your complementary platforming section, and then we will embark on the boss rush. Of course, a staple for a Mega Man game, you always gotta have your boss rush. So first off, we'll battle Chrono Force, and he is the only battle that really changes compared to the others. The others are just going to get slammed by Model CX, but the Model L, because of its underwater queers, can actually float. And if you press, and if you attack while floating, it will repellently spin its halberd, and it works much like a Model CX is spinning slash. But because Chrono Force's hitbox is so quirky, it's a lot better to hit it with Model L. Because Model L is spinning slash is stationary instead of the Model CX is spinning slash, which falls as you jump. God damn, I love Ultra. They did a great job with his design. It's a really interesting boss because he doesn't directly attack you, more so he manipulates the room surrounding him, and he shoots speakers and summons robots to attack you, and can also disable your commands. So if you give him the chance, he can be quite a pain.
One thing you'll notice that I'm doing with the GX is, for the spinning attack, if I get hit while using the spinning attack automatically ends. However, if I purposely get hit, and then use the attack during my iframes, it won't stop, even if I'm in the boss's hitbox. So you'll see me purposely getting hit before using the Z-Saber.
Ah, so you can get hit and return to the hitbox to continue the attack?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's pretty neat, I didn't know that. Yeah, because what you can do is just do a spinning slash and then do a ground combo, like just slash the ground 3 times. But if you break iframes once you started a ground combo, you cannot come back to the boss to keep using a spin slash. So if you accidentally slash the boss while doing that damage boost, then there will be no point to it. It's just one of the several quirks of combo management in this game. Yeah, we got the second half of the bosses now. Since we have a CX, the first time we fought these guys, and they go very much like our first encounter with them. team to win.
That's right.
It's really interesting how the difficulty setting really changes the pace of the speedrun, because these bosses are a little more complex on higher difficulty settings. Spin and Slash is still broken, but it doesn't melt through the health of the boss. So you it's just fascinating how the difficulty alters the run as much. Because in other games, your difficulty setting only makes things harder for the player, but doesn't actually change their damage modifiers. But here on Vegeta, all your attacks become overpowered as heck. By the way, bosses is AI scripts also change a little on beginner mode. They generally move slower. They also have less projectiles to shoot. For example, Fire, instead of shooting triple arrows, he only shoots one horizontally. So the slower movement makes it easier to hit them and mitigates RNG.
For those wondering, Japanese does save about 5 to 10 seconds in this game. However, it's not enough to go out and buy a Japanese copy of this game for me.
It saves so much time. I thought the Japanese just added a couple more dialogue, like it reduced a couple more dialogue boxes.
Yeah, there's one. You have to skip one more cutscene in English than Japanese, and in Japanese, bosses are very, very slightly easier by like a minuscule amount.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about this room because it's got insta everywhere.
Oh,
there are blocks that insta kill you, not on easy mode, but there are blocks that insta kill you on normal mode.
Yeah, on normal mode, this room is a nightmare.
Yeah. Like the blocks that he destroys regenerate over time, and those also insta kill you if you just stand over them. There is boneless pits everywhere. It's wonderful.
I don't know why I switched to Model P before the fight. You switched to Model A at the beginning of the fight anyways.
Yeah, a lot of cutscenes just turn you back into Model A. I guess they didn't want to handle the cutscenes with all the possible transformations. Oh, by the way, that was the final boss, the first phase of the final boss. Pretty good.
Oh yeah, get ready on the timer, by the way. It's gonna be coming up in like a minute.
Yeah, it's not a final hit. So we got the final boss of the game. He's got these halos around him. You gotta hit them you gotta hit them all to break his barrier. So we use Giga Crush for that, and then one more spin slash.
And time. Alright. So we run the time on in-game time for the speed run, just so that we can compare emulator and console times. So,
yeah, unlike other Mega Man games, the in-game timer here is insanely accurate. Yeah, you can compare any version of the game with it, because it only stops during loading times, and that's the only variation between consoles.
5527, that's about what I expected. My PB is this file right here from STDQ.
Nice.
Oh, jeez, my back hurts.
I guess that makes a good game.
Okay, well, thanks for the run. Next up, we have the Legend of Zelda Randomizer with Raikou Rider. We made our way up to the 6th tier, so we didn't quite make it to the randomized enemy HP. But according to Raikou, it's still going to be a pretty hard set to play with, so we're going to be setting that up right now. We'll be back in a few with that. Thanks for the run.
Alright, you're welcome. Have fun watching Zelda Randomizer. I'll definitely... Peace.
Alright, see you later, guys. Best of luck.